in addition to so many things that'll just blow your mind, contact lenses that you can, blink and go to an internet page and things like that, is he talked about shape-shifting. And you had just mentioned shape-shifting, but this is what he said about it, and I want to know if you knew anything about it. He said that shape-shifting is not what we think it is, where people just, melt onto the floor like in Terminator and come back as something else, but he said that it is being worked on, and this guy is world-renowned. This stuff is not classified, everybody. This is declassified information. That shape-shifting will be programmable matter, rearranged matter, and what they're doing is they're mixing atoms and microchips, or placing microchips on atoms, and these microchips are all very, very small, obviously, to go on an atom, but they're as powerful as our PC computers. Now, what got me is the company that's developing this is Intel, the same people that put the processors in. What do you know? Is there any connection between Intel and the Vril? Do they have parasites or drones working for them? Or is this why are they trying to make this technology public, or are they? Or is this just plain human beings trying to work towards it? What's your view on that?
There's a lot of facets to the diamond, and, well, it's not really a diamond. The thing is, okay, long story made short, Hitler was shown underground by Vril. They led him to an abandoned Atlantean base. The Vril did not know how to work the machines or invent anything. They got claws and stuff. They're stupid creatures. Atlanteans used to use them to drone other nations. They were droners. Hitler got a hold of all the technology, started back engineering it, but he didn't get it fast enough, and the Americans and the Russians took it with Project Paperclip, and they took took all the stuff and started back engineering saucers and everything. The Roswell crash was a man-made saucer. See, the Russians and the Americans each got different bits and pieces of technology from Hitler. The Americans got the saucer stuff. Now, they didn't want, and the saucers, without gyros in them, like in the Segway scooters they have today, without the gyros in them, they're unstable big time. They skipped across everywhere, and they could crash real easy. Now, the Americans didn't want one of these experimental saucers to go crashing into some town and get photographed, and then the Russians would, because it was Cold War time then, the Russians would have known they were working on experimental aircraft, and with heightened tensions. So they put some squiggly lines on it, some couple alien symbols. The thing was just made out of mylar anyway. They said we didn't have mylar back then, but they actually did. They, all the technologies, they have them way long time before they say that they have them. So anyway, yeah. That's that. They got all kinds of technology. They might even got the cloning technology from this Atlantean base. It was in Antarctica. See, Hitler sent, he heard that there was magic or secrets in Tibet. So he sent an expedition that cost like billions of dollars in today's money. A bunch of Nazis over there to Tibet to talk to these monks about where's this magic. Well, the Tibetan monks were hiding Vril. They worship Vril, or at least they used to. They keep them secret. He's peaceful.
Is that the Dragon Society that I've heard of before, where I believe I heard the legend where Hitler kidnapped them, and what he claimed they could do, or Heinrich Himmler rather, also it was the man in charge of the kidnapping. Is that they could cause a flower to germinate and bloom within 20 minutes. Are those the same people that you're talking about? I believe they were called the Dragon Society.
Well, some of these things, Brotherhood of the Snake, Dragon Society and stuff, it's all about lizards. Little dragons, those are the Vril type ones. There's 3 types. The third type is they get up to 7 and 8 feet tall. They're the long neck, gray looking things that Phil Schneider guy was talking about. They killed him because he went on blast telling everybody about them, and nobody believed him. Well, a lot of people did, but too late because they killed him.
Hey, Donnie, on that too, when you're mentioning naming names and where these, talking about Tibet and so forth, how this started back in the 30s, 40s, and so forth. Different sites, different locations. I know that from reading some of the stuff that you had alluded to before, like on Facebook and that site that Celine provided, that one of those you think is in Canada, and perhaps within 4 or 5 hours of the famous or infamous Picton pig farm.
Yep.
And the reason I bring that up is people who are not aware of the Picton pig farm, a guy was basically, pled guilty to and then alluded to killing a bunch of people, a bunch of women. And I thought you had mentioned before that they would take they would record some of those killings, take them to the cloning center. So when we're talking about like these cloning centers, so far I think our listeners might not understand what you've personally seen and been through as far as kind of the grotesque nature. It's not just for human cloning for benefit. There's some sort of evil thing happening, entertainment going on.
Yeah.
So where are these centers that you know of, and who's behind it?
Okay. Well, the Dulce base has an entire floor devoted to cloning. In Area 51, the underground, they have an entire floor devoted to cloning. A lot of the deep bases, they have an entire floor devoted to cloning, an entire floor devoted to gene splicing. There's the Montauk place. They make all kinds of monsters and stuff for military weapons and for scientific exploration of like different enzymes they might have in them. Let's see, the Picton stuff. That was government known. Okay, let me tell you, Queen Elizabeth does not like prostitutes for some reason. They wanted to make these things called snuff films. They're murder videos. And this is also the reason why Britney Spears went loopy, because she watched too many murder videos and seen too many lizards eat too many kids at this place.
And when you say Britney Spears, you mean in her, like when she was in REM sleep, kind of taken as a clone to witness this, correct?
Yep. You see, Britney's been there since she was a teen, or even younger, and, if she wanted to be famous or promoted, she would have to go there during REM, and she's an assembly line sex slave, basically. Doesn't want it to be known, but she does want out of there. I mean, I'm not going to give details of the disgusting things that I've seen about specific people, but, that's their business, but, stuff that's been done to me, and I'll talk all kinds about that, or if I've seen them hurting other people there or whatever, I'll talk about that, but they want me to not discuss their big fur balls they get into there. Anyway, the Picton stuff, they videotaped them all. There was a video camera in the top corner of the room. He used to smash the hookers in the head with a ball-peen hammer. Now, the way that I know that the cloning station is close to the Picton farm by about 5 hours is they would wait. He would get a hooker to this place, his pig farm there, bring them in, smash them in the head, and feed them to the pigs. Well, he would videotape it, and someone would go to his place in a car, get the video right away because they were sought after. These scumbags just sit there and watch them and laugh. It would take 5 hours to drive from the Picton farm to the cloning center, which I assume, well, the only above ground one that I've ever seen, besides one in China, that it would take 5 hours to get there, and he would come running in, and they would put it on screen. Elizabeth used to make me watch every single one. She said it would strengthen my mind, but...
And when you say Elizabeth, you're referring to Queen Elizabeth.
Yep, Queen Elizabeth, one of the most evil people in the entire world.
I agree with that. She owns or no wizard, she's evil. Yeah.
She owns the cloning station that I'm forced to attend, and the royalties are there. All the biggest stars are there because they don't like going to Dulce Base or any of these underground bases because they smell like sterile hospital down there. But the above ground one in Canada is airy. It's above ground, and only the most...
We're at in Canada, Donnie. Where's this cloning station at in Canada?
It is somewhere in the west coast or western Canada because, well, it's within 5 hour radius around the Picton farm. And then I looked at it and I said, wait a minute, there's like nature preserves out there where you're not allowed to trespass, right? And different military stuff, you know, enter and you may be shot type of thing. And it's in one of these places because I was outside of this above ground one before. There is nothing around it. There's all trees, one overgrown dirt road leading to it. There's no sign of civilization on the horizon, nothing, not smoke on the horizon or anything. And some of the people don't understand how I would have ended up there or why they would have told me so much. So just let me tell you about that real quick. When I was 5...
Well, I wanted to ask about that, Donnie. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, for our listeners, people that are skeptic, because I told you, I was originally skeptic. It's not that I don't believe you, but just for everyday people out there that are very skeptical of many things, this is kind of beyond that. How are you able to talk about this? How are you able to give out this information?
Why haven't they killed you for getting this out?
Exactly.
Is part of it also. So.
Yep, I'm getting right to that. That's the part. Why am I still alive, right? Well, when I was 5, I was brought there. I didn't know how I got there. I thought it was another dimension, like a lot of other people think, because, you know, I'm there, I'm looking around, I don't know who was around me, and they used to give me cookies and stuff to calm me down. Anyway, I was originally brought there to be a molestation victim. So anyway, I wasn't into that, so all I'd do is scream and cry, and someone said, well, do you do anything else, singing or dancing? So I started singing just songs out of thin air. And the first one that I ever did, I don't even want to mention which ones because it sounds so weird this 5-year-old did this song. Anyway, Elizabeth was there, and I sang that song Lady by Kenny Rogers for her. Kenny Rogers was a sex slave for Elizabeth, for Queen Elizabeth. He, if he ever talked about it, he would have been killed. So I sang that Lady song to her with the hockey boards in between us, and she was all awestruck, and everybody was like, wow, how did you do that? And I was like, I don't know. Can I go home now? They deactivated me. My cologne fell limp. I woke up the next morning, didn't remember anything. They gave me back my memory at age 30. They call it the awakening. Anyway, they kept on bringing me back. They're like, make another song like that you did before. So I made another song, and I guess someone famous used it. And then I made another song the next night, and someone else used it. And then it wasn't, after a while, after a few weeks, it wasn't amazing anymore. It was just common thing. Let's get a song from this freak kid, right? And then when I couldn't come up with songs anymore, they started to try to scare me with threats. So then that worked for a little while. But then when that didn't work, then they started hurting my clone, stabbing it, punching it, everything, and just lightly at first because I was a kid, but then it got worse and worse. And then people just started, like, they included me into some kind of a torture spectacle. They'd chain me up, and man, they just torture you. And people get like aroused there in the stands at watching it, the screaming and stuff. And lizards, frills, they hang in the deep bases in the stands too, side by side with people, and some people don't like sitting near them. They smell funny, and I don't know, and they're really creepy looking. And so they sit on the other side, but the lizards really love it. It's like music to them. These things, I know all about them, because after I made so many songs, this is how the reason I'm not dead. After I made so many songs, they all wanted me to go there willingly, and political people started asking me advice. I'm like a little kid. They're like, what would you think about this? Because they said that a little kid can think outside of a box and provide alternate options that they hadn't thought about, which I did. And it just got worse and worse, and they kept asking me more and more, make more and more songs. So eventually then people started saying, oh my God, what if this kid is like some kind of special religious significance? And then all the religious fanatics started going weird, trying to say that I could be New Age Jesus because it's around the same time and he's amazing and this and that, looks the part. Then they wanted to use me for something called Project Camelot. Now this is a real slimy plan to manufacture a Messiah-like figure to lead the Earth through a cataclysmic catastrophe. which is...
Now,
Is that
are you
correct?
referring to like Blue Beam and so forth? Does that come into play with this sort of thing, like a one world religion, like with Camelot?
Oh, yeah. Just about